Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and the third episode of our Gregtech community pack. In today's episode we progress through the low voltage age, shoring up our machines, and getting the low voltage circuit assembler. We'll also batch craft up a lot of circuits and establish some very basic ore doubling with 2 more multi-blocks. With that out of the way, let's begin. The first issue that we faced from last time was the flow restriction of our potent pipes. Because we chiefed out and made small pipes, we can only send 64 millibuckets of steam per tick. This isn't even enough to support a single steam turbine. Our boilers currently produced 180 millibuckets of steam per tick, so the normal pipe flow limit of 192 is plenty for now. This is where not having the pipes gets a bit painful. We have to constantly stop the machines from working due to steam limitations, but once we get these weak ass pipes replaced, we'll be able to run 2 steam turbines easily. And time to replace the pipes. And here we can see the first multi-block for ore processing, the grinder. This will double our ore output for now. We'll craft it up, and then we'll place it. Next up, we're building our steam furnace, which can smelt 8 recipes at a time just for the cost of a little steam. We're going to be using this until we get the multi-smelter. And the next low voltage machine on the docket is the low voltage lathe. Now this is going to turn our stick recipe from 1 to 1 to 1 to 2 and make it so that we can batch craft without having to use a silly saw. We have to do a little bit of micro crafting for this, which means we're going to have to craft some circuits, we'll have to make some motors, some machine hulls, pistons, and then we'll get a diamond to top it off. I'm only going to show this part once, but I promise you I had to do this way more times than I'm proud of. This is the worst way to coat cables. In our quest for cheaper everything, we're going to make the polarizer. It's pretty much the simplest low voltage machine you can make, and all it does is turn our iron and steel rods into magnetic iron and steel rods. Now in this clip I am finally making the better way of coating cables. You need a chemical reactor. You can mix sulfur and raw rubber pulp into rubber, the fluid, and then using an assembling machine, you can put the rubber fluid and your wire in there and it will coat it. This is only going to work for relatively low voltage wires, and we will need to upgrade this system later. But for now, it's going to work wonderfully. And this is the next big step for us in this playthrough, the assembly machine. It's finally going to let us coat our cables well. And here we are coating the cables well. And next up is some resource gathering. We're going to be getting some silver, copper, antimony, and salt. Now this was all just to get batteries for an electric drill, which I will end up replacing with the Tinker's Construct hammer. We first need an electrolyzer. This is also going to let us get aluminium. Then we need to make the power unit, and then we can make the drill. With the increasing demands of power, a single steam turbine isn't going to cut it. Again, we'll be replacing steam next episode, but for now, we're going to place 2 steam turbines and replace our cables with 2 amp cables. Now that we can run multiple machines at once, we're going to leave things in the background to process while we do things around the base. The first thing we're going to do is completely tear up our old steam setup. Next, in preparation for the blast furnace and even more machines, we're going to batch up 2 stacks of plates, 1 steel, 1 invar. And we'll immediately be putting those steel plates to good use as we craft up the low voltage mixer. This is going to be used to make ourselves gallium arsenide, which is the first step in crafting medium voltage circuits. Now, don't worry about how weird that low voltage circuit looked. At this point in time, I had a Gregtech science add-on in the game. This changed a lot of recipes, especially with the late game, but some in the early game. Now the issue with this mod was that it completely blocked our progression into the proper medium voltage age, as it made silicon bulls completely uncraftable. It also meant that the game couldn't load when we updated our pack, but that's besides the point. So as you probably saw there while we were reading the quest book, very hard to say for me for some bizarre reason, we are going to be getting real glar for arsenic, and we are going to be mining sphalerite in the nether for a small chance of gallium. Eventually we'll make better ore processing which can guarantee us gallium, but for now we're stuck with the bad way. And here's the bad way. Electrolyzing sphalerite gets you a 20% chance of a quarter of a pile of gallium. And after doing this for a while, we finally get enough for a single piece of gallium. Putting our arsenic and gallium together in the mixer gives us a pile of gallium arsenide, well, 2 to be exact, and then we can break that down into small piles of gallium arsenide, mix that with glass and fine copper wire, and we finally get our diodes. Next up is the boards. These are a little bit more complicated than the previous ones. These require some glue centrifuged out of sticky resin with some wood pulp and a plate mold in the assembler to make the phenolic board. And now we're on the final grind for the circuit assembler. First we need to craft the components. This is going to take a lot of motors. We then need some pistons, more circuits for the robot arms, more rubber plates for the conveyor modules, and finally the medium voltage circuits. Once we have this, we can finally make cheaper circuits. And now we have the beautiful circuit assembler. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to craft up 2 stacks of low voltage circuits, just to set us up for the next episode. And so after all that effort, we ended with 2 full stacks of low voltage circuits. Now obviously we're going to be using those in the next episode, so you'll have to come along for that journey too. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. So as you saw there while I was reading the quest book, so as you saw there while we were reading the quest book, oh fuck me, I'm not gonna restart this one. Next up on the agenda is the boards. These are a little bit more complicated than the previous one.